Let me start with something that's uncomfortable, but true. The world you woke up in this morning is not the same world you went to sleep in last night. Change isn't coming anymore. It's already here, moving quietly, accelerating in the background while most people are busy scrolling, reacting, or waiting for permission. Technology doesn't announce itself with a warning. It just shows up, reshapes everything, moves on, and by the time people notice, it's usually too late to catch up. We tend to think the future arrives in big moments, a breakthrough, a headline, a dramatic shift. That's not how it really works. The biggest changes happen invisibly at first, in code, in systems, in decisions made far away from public attention. Artificial intelligence, automation, energy systems, space technology, they're not science fiction anymore. They're tools already deciding how we work, what we see, what we earn, and what opportunities even exist for us. If you're not involved in shaping these systems, you are inside them, being shaped by them. And here's the hard part, no one is coming to slow this down for you. Progress doesn't wait for comfort, fear, or readiness. It rewards those who are curious enough to learn and brave enough to adapt. The gap between people who understand what's happening and those who don't is growing every day, and that gap becomes power. So this isn't a warning meant to scare you, it's an invitation. Pay attention. Ask better questions. Learn how the world actually works now, not how it used to. Because the future won't ask if you're ready, it will only ask if you showed up. And right now, it's already knocking. Once you start to really see how fast everything is moving, another truth becomes impossible to ignore. Comfort is incredibly seductive. It feels safe, it feels earned, and most of the time it doesn't feel dangerous at all. But that's exactly why it is. Comfort doesn't attack you. It slowly convinces you that today is good enough, that tomorrow can wait, that someone else will figure it out. And before you realize what's happened, years have passed and your potential has quietly gone unused. Human beings are remarkably capable, but we are also very good at choosing the easiest path available. We build routines, surround ourselves with familiarity, and mistake stability for progress. The problem is that the world doesn't reward people for staying still. It rewards those who are willing to be uncomfortable long enough to learn, to fail, to look foolish, and to try again. Every meaningful breakthrough, personal or technological, starts with someone stepping into uncertainty without a guarantee it will work. I've learned that discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's usually a signal that you're standing at the edge of something important. The moment you feel unsure, overwhelmed, or stretched beyond what you think you can handle, that's often the moment growth is actually happening. Comfort tells you to protect what you have. Progress asks you to risk it. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. No one is coming to push you. No system, no mentor, no perfect moment will appear and force you forward. That decision is always yours. You either choose the short-term ease of staying where you are, or the long-term meaning of becoming something more. Comfort feels good today, but courage builds the future. When you step out of comfort and into uncertainty, something else becomes clear. Waiting is a choice. A lot of people tell themselves they're being patient, realistic, or cautious. But often, they're just standing on the sidelines, watching others decide the direction of the world. It's easy to believe that progress is driven by governments, corporations, or some distant group of experts. The truth is, every system we live inside today exists because individuals decided to take responsibility when it would have been easier not to. No one is born knowing how to build the future. The people who move things forward usually start with more questions than answers. They don't see themselves as special, they just refuse to accept that their role is to observe. They show up, learn fast, make mistakes in public, and keep going while others are still debating whether it's worth trying. Being involved doesn't require permission. It requires ownership. There's a quiet danger in believing your actions don't matter. That mindset scales, and when enough people adopt it, progress slows, problems deepen, the same flawed systems remain in place longer than they should. Responsibility doesn't always feel heroic. Most of the time, it feels inconvenient. It asks you to care when it would be simpler to scroll past, to speak up when silence feels safer, to build when criticism is guaranteed. If you care about the future, about the kind of world we hand to the next generation, then you don't get the luxury of disengagement. You don't have to have all the answers, but you do have to participate. Because the people who shape tomorrow are rarely the loudest in the room. They're the ones who decided not to sit quietly. History doesn't move forward on autopilot. It moves when someone takes the wheel. Once you decide to participate instead of watching from the sidelines, fear shows up almost immediately. That's normal. In fact, if you're not feeling some level of fear, you're probably not doing anything meaningful. Fear is the brain's way of trying to protect you from uncertainty, from embarrassment, from loss. But here's the thing. Fear is loud in the moment and surprisingly quiet over time. It spikes, it shakes you, and then it fades. Regret does the opposite. It whispers at first, then follows you for years. Most people don't fear failure as much as they fear being judged. They imagine the looks, the comments, the possibility of being wrong in public. So they delay, they plan endlessly. They wait for confidence to arrive before acting. Confidence, though, is almost always the result of action, not the cause of it. You don't eliminate fear by thinking your way out of it. You do it by moving forward despite it. I've seen this pattern repeat everywhere. People take safe paths not because they believe in them, but because they're afraid of what might happen if they don't. And years later, when the fear is long gone, the question remains, what would have happened if I had tried? That question is far heavier than the fear ever was. Failure can teach you. Criticism can sharpen you, but regret doesn't give you anything back. The truth is, there is no version of the future where you avoid risk completely. The only real choice is whether you risk failure by acting or risk regret by standing still. One of those risks builds experience, resilience, and clarity. The other quietly erodes ambition. So when fear shows up, and it will, don't treat it as a stop sign. Treat it as proof that you're moving towards something that matters. Fear fades, regret keeps score. After you push past fear, another question inevitably surfaces. Why am I doing this? That question matters more than most people realize, because success on its own is a weak motivator. It can get you started, but it won't carry you through setbacks, criticism, or long nights when progress feels invisible. Titles, money, recognition, they're all temporary. They fluctuate, they fade, and they don't show up when things get hard. Purpose does. When your work is tied to something larger than yourself, the equation changes. Failure becomes feedback instead of defeat. Long hours feel less like sacrifice and more like investment. You stop measuring your progress only by outcomes and start measuring it by impact. The most resilient people I've met weren't driven by ego or applause. They were driven by a clear sense of why, a belief that what they were building mattered beyond their own comfort or reputation. Purpose also has a way of cutting through noise. In a world constantly telling you who to be, what to chase, and how success should look, purpose gives you a filter. It helps you say no to distractions that look attractive but lead nowhere. It keeps you grounded when things go well and steady when they don't. Without it, success can feel strangely empty, like reaching a destination only to realize you don't want to stay there. And here's something people don't talk about enough. Purpose doesn't have to be grand to be powerful. It just has to be real. It can be about solving a problem, improving a system, or leaving something better than you found it. What matters is that it pulls you forward when motivation runs out. If you want a life that lasts beyond achievements, don't chase success and hope meaning follows. Choose meaning first and let success become a byproduct. When everything else is stripped away, the fear, the comfort, the noise, the definitions of success, what remains is a moment, this moment. Not someday, when conditions are perfect, not when you feel completely ready. Those moments rarely arrive. History doesn't move in giant leaps, it moves when ordinary people decide that if now is no longer negotiable. The future isn't built by people who wait for certainty, it's built by people who act while things are still unclear. Every generation is handed a narrow window where their choices matter more than usual. This is one of those windows. The systems around us are being rewritten in real time. The tools are more powerful than ever, and so are the consequences of inaction. What you choose to learn, build, and stand for in the next few years will echo far longer than you think. And while it's tempting to believe you'll get another chance later, later is never guaranteed. Momentum is created by decisions, not intentions. You don't need to see the entire path to take the first step. You just need to move. Start the project. Ask the question. Learn the skill. Speak the truth you've been holding back. Action has a way of clarifying what thinking never will. And once you begin, you'll realize that readiness is something you build along the way, not something you wait to feel. The world doesn't need more spectators analyzing the moment. It needs builders willing to step into it. Whatever you've been waiting for, permission, validation, the right timing, consider this it. Because the moment you act is the moment the future starts listening.